Hey guys, so I wanted to show you and play for you this little splash that is kind of cool and possibly now defunct. This is the Flash Splash from Zildjian. My best guess is that this got discontinued maybe 2022, but I still see it actually even for sale new on some places sometimes, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, unfortunately, there is not a whole lot of information about this around. Definitely nothing at all on Zildjian's website. Could be that this didn't really pick up that much in popularity and that's why, but I played it a little bit. I thought it was kind of cool. Definitely an interesting take on a splash. So we'll kind of see how this compares to a normal A, and that might give us a good amount of info on how this differs from your typical splash. The first thing to note is that since it was an A style cymbal, you can definitely see, some pronounced tonal grooves going in it. It's got that traditional finish that you would typically see on a standard A splash. Maybe the tonal grooves are not quite as deep as your standard A, right? So that means it's kind of moving a little bit closer to one of your custom cymbals, but it's definitely still a traditional finish. Now, the bigger difference here is with the hammering. It still does have a uniform hammering. That's pretty typical for the A line. And a uniform hammering should mean that you're going to have more overtones and higher pitched overtones. So that should be consistent. But the style of hammering is a bit different. It's far more noticeable when you turn the splashes upside down. You can see that the indentation is it's like almost like a larger sized hammer strike that they use. It's a lot wider on the Flash Splash compared to the standard A. Even though it is a bit bigger, I've seen larger indentations than this. If you were to look at, say, the A series heavy crashes, those get pretty big. So these are, even though these are larger than your normal A for the hammering, it's definitely smaller than what you would see on a heavy crash. Now, it should also be noted that this Flash Splash is heavier, much heavier than the standard A, or relatively speaking, it's heavier. I measured it and it's about 15% heavier than your standard A. Now, what does that mean? Well, usually the heavier the cymbal, the higher the pitch, especially when the diameter is not changing. So this Flash Splash should definitely be noticeably higher pitch when compared to the standard A. Okay, so let's get into the sound samples. I'm gonna have the Flash Splash mounted right up here in the middle, and the standard A is gonna be to my left. Quick note on the recording setup, I'm gonna be using omnidirectional mics. These are Earthworks. Those are gonna be going through an A design specific preamp. Then there's not gonna be any EQ or compression on that, just some phase and time correction. Other drum tracks, though, will have additional processing. So what were my initial thoughts? Well, for sure, the Flash Splash, definitely noticeably higher pitch than the standard A. Other characteristics between them were pretty similar, but there was one other noticeable difference that I heard. I would say that, if this makes sense, the Flash Splash sounded less splashy than the standard A. If you can think of how a splash normally sounds when compared to a crash, right? Usually your splashes are a bit thinner and they don't hold the sound as long, right? The Flash Splash almost sounded like it was encroaching on a crash style sound, right? It was almost like it's like a very tiny crash. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have splash, if you've not liked the sound of splashes because you don't like the splash sound, then this sort of thing might be more up your alley. But if you kind of like that kind of like weaker or kind of like dying out quicker style sound, a thinner cymbal sound, then this might not be up to your specs. Do you guys have any kind of discontinued or older cymbals in your gear bag that you love to kind of go back to every so often? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, I have more videos coming out all the time, more things on cymbals and stick reviews, lessons, recording tips, everything drum related you can find here. So if you don't want to miss out, then don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, peace.